Well, good morning, all you beautiful beings of light out there on Facebook and YouTube and wherever you are right now. We welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. I am your host, Horace. And if this is your first time, we want you to know that we are so delighted that you are here. So, guess what? Today's message invites us to reflect on the pursuit or in pursuit of possibilities. Let me say that again. Today's message is in pursuit of possibilities. So take that in um, as we move through this service. And you're going to find out more about some very special announcements coming up later on. So I just like for you to sit back, learn more about our community, where you can go to cslcharlotte.org, put in a prayer request, and then you can follow us there. Also, before I turn the mic over to our wonderful, fabulous spiritual leader, Reverend Rosedale, I want to leave you with this thought. When you look at the possibilities instead of the problems, the future is filled with endless opportunities. Let me say that again. When you look at the possibilities instead of the problems, the future is filled with endless opportunities. And that is from Zig Ziglar. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic over to our wonderful, fabulous, fearless leader,
Praise
Reverend
the Lord.
Rosedale Jones.
All right. So with that, thanks to Horace, that was just phenomenal. The problems and the possibilities is something I thought about in the talk. So I don't know. It sounds like good. It seems like everything is always all these quotes are right on top. So thank you for that fabulous quote. So to our YouTube users and everybody that's listening to us, welcome to CSL Charlotte. We are the Mind Body Spirit Center. The first thing we do as we open our Sunday celebration with an affirmative prayer to set the tone is we think about our focus. And today our focus is in pursuit of possibilities. So first on our platform is the our practitioner, spiritual practitioner. She's setting the tone for us, and and she's going to be the one to open us up. So let's let Maureen Thurston, aka Mo, go ahead and open us up. Mo, are you ready?
Thank you, Reverend Rosedale. So as we take a moment just to sit real quietly and just turn within, I know that we are blessed beyond any type of measure on this beautiful Sunday morning. I recognize and I see all of the individuals that are showing up here today to celebrate this time together. I know that each and every one of us hear what is ours to hear, that it is done with an ease and with a grace as Reverend Rosedale shares her wisdom with us here today. I know this service is seamless and runs smoothly and easily, and each one of us get fed with what we are needing to hear and love and appreciate. I release, I let go, I let God, knowing that it is done. It is already manifesting right here and right now, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Mo. So with that being said, next on our platform is our reader, Melissa Spiegler, aka the girl from Tennessee. So after Melissa's reading, listen to our song One Power by Daniel Nahmod. When you know the truth that we are the one power, you get to see the need to be in pursuit of possibilities. So Melissa, make it do what it do.
Thank you, Reverend Rosedale. And yeah, in pursuit of possibilities is a wonderful way to really look at life. And our message today is going to be filled with a great many ways of getting to that point. And so our reading this morning is Awakening to Possibilities by Reverend Rosedale Jones. When we allow ourselves to become conscious of our oneness with Spirit, beliefs in evil, sin, sickness, and limitation, and even death begin to dissolve. We no longer ask amiss, pleading as though God is distant or begging as though the divine withholds anything from us. We recognize that the word God has no gender. It is the infinite, divine energy behind and within all creation. Each of us chooses the pronoun that resonates as our relationship with spirit. This presence expresses uniquely through each of us. The beauty in this truth is that no two individuals feel and experience this spiritual power in the same way. Yet all of us are held in its wholeness. As we acknowledge this divine energy within us, through us, around us, and as us, we awaken to the abundance of possibilities available in every moment. We realize that our innate power to heal, to expand, to evolve, and to live as spiritual beings having human experiences. In this awareness, we open to the possibilities of restoration, growth, clarity, and profound transformation. We are interconnected in the great web of life. Each one of us is a reflection of divine love, wisdom, and power. When we align our thoughts, feelings, and actions with this truth, we begin to live a life guided by possibility, a life filled with peace, joy, fulfillment, and spiritual progression. Our practices, meditation, our spiritual practices such as contemplation, visioning, and prayer are pathways that awaken us to the infinite possibility of the power within. Affirmative prayer is not about pleading, it's about knowing. It is the activity of the mind convincing itself of truth and being open to the spiritual possibilities already present. As we pray, we do not try to change God. We transform our own consciousness as we can receive what already is. Changing the mind is the essence of prayer. Through prayer, we anchor ourselves in the awareness that what we are seeking is already seeking us. This opens us to greater and greater possibilities. Real prayer occurs the instant the one who prays knows, without doubt and without hesitation, that the good desired is already manifest in mind and therefore inevitable in experience. When we think from possibility, speak from possibility, and act from possibility, life rises to meet us in divine alignment. In this consciousness, miracles become natural and possibilities become our way of life. And here's a final quote by Reverend Rosedale. Once we recognize, personalize, and practice our oneness with spirit, our prayers are answered. The very moment possibilities become our truth. And so it is.
Beautiful one power. We'll start with a short centering. Relax your eyes for a few minutes and just look into your lap or close them, whichever way you want to do that. It's your choice. And then breathe. And as you breathe, really exhale, really slow. There is actually one power that really is invisible, but yet we get to see it everywhere and every day, right? And so when we get to see these beautiful flowers and the autumn leaves change and everything, that's that one power. So it seems mysterious, but it stays that way until you know the truth that the one power has always been inside of you. And that's what I love about that song. So what we can call it God, Spirit, Jesus, Lord, whatever it is. But whatever name we decide to choose, it is just that one power. But it's all about our resonation and what resonates with us. So that one power is actually, I would say, activated by intention and spiritual practice. So you're a choice to do that. You can choose to incorporate spiritual practices if you want. This way you get to experience great manifestations and stay in pursuit of possibilities, and all of that's up to you. So wiggle your fingers and your toes and integrate your mind, body, and spirit. As you float your eyes open again, look around your space. And if you're new to it, act like it. And let something in your space connect you back to the present moment. That's distracting. We all have different traits of our personalities, critical, encouraging, even worried, even when we have these angry traits. But all of us have these different traits in our personality. The ego is part of all of us. It's every bit of us. And here's a powerful and perfect realization about the ego. In spiritual science, it's never an enemy. It's never going to be our enemy. It's the link between our divine self and the physical self. Okay? The ego also gets a chance to speak through us, as us, and with us from either the love side or the fear side. Every single thought we have is either an extension of love, and every single one of the ideas and expressions we have is either an extension of love or a call for love. So neuroscience says that there's two main emotional drivers in the brain. Now I'm just saying physically, threat or growth, that's one, and fear or expansion, that's another emotional driver. But these are the things. The brain is the default survival wiring. And what happens is we use spiritual practices to rewire the minds for possibility. It's our responsibility to transform any belittling thoughts or harsh thoughts that come from our ego. It's also our job to discern which voice is controlling our self-talk, the fearful survival mind, or is it the expansion mind? See, I still converse with people today who are rooted still in traditional religious paradigms that I used to be in and that I was raised in. And I can see without judging when people fear change. You know, that's because when they're fearing change, they don't know their identity, their ego's identity. And that's when I bring up the Bible to people. See, when I especially when I'm talking to my family members and things like that, because I know that Spirit speaks through all teachings. And the Bible may not use words like neuroscience or quantum field or spiritual science, but the Bible does absolutely support testing thought. You have to test your thought, aligning yourself with spirit, and choosing which truth, discerning your truth. So in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 20 to 22, they say we should be commanded to examine, to test, and discern. So number 20 will tell you something like, do not extinguish spirit. And the 21st verse will tell you, test everything, but hold on to what's good. And then the third one will abstain from evil. It will tell you to abstain from evil. Now, don't we all know the differences between fear, that voice, and love, that voice? Well, we're here. And here's what it is. Here's the metaphysical truth. The ego knows and speaks through us And how does it do it? It just depends on what paradigm we live in. Now, a paradigm is a rut. It's a rut doesn't mean something negative. It's just a groove that we're in, right? A groove that we're traveling on. And that particular rut or groove that we're in shapes how we see the world and how we respond to it. Whether we're going to respond as a victim or whether we're going to respond, but it depends on where we're from, right? So spiritually awakened people already know that we shift in and out throughout life in all our paradigms. But here's the deal. When we shift to a new paradigm, the old paradigm, what it does is it resists. That's when we need spiritual practice the most. The problem is the system is trying to stay the same. And science would call that homeostasis. But our old identity just feels threatened. That's all it is. That's what the ego's going through. So spirituality calls this ego resistance. All you need, though, when you start to feel that resistance and you start to feel threatened, is all you need to do is get the spiritual practices going. Because this is the thing. Resistance shows up as sickness. It shows up as fatigue. You heard Melissa's reading. It shows up as setbacks, delays, resentment, self-judgment, and even fear. See, when I began my journey, it was over 30 years ago, I guess, but I thought nothing in my life back then was working. I thought that, I don't know what I thought. I didn't even think I'd be here today. But now I know it was me getting ready for an internal retuning, if you will. Everything was being done new. And then I knew that now I know I needed to shift my paradigm. I didn't know then. But my paradigm it was tough to really, this is why a lot of people have a hard time with this. The paradigm was used to being critical for me. It was used to me being a worrier. It was used to me being angry with a lot of things, politics, you name it. I had something to be mad about, and even suspicious. But that was the paradigm I lived in back then. So scientifically, what they would say today is I needed neural conditioning. That means that the plasticity in the brain, and science says that we get to change and we could get to rewire, but it's got to be our choice. But spiritually, my ego was living in separation consciousness. Now that's a thing, it's a real thing. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes they can feel, just separate from everything. But here's the thing. Meditation, prayer, visioning, and other practices literally changed my neural pathways. And what does that mean? All of the different transmitters in the brain and all of those things that's going through me have begun to change because I decided to go the mystical paradigm. Mystical, meaning spiritual, meaning metaphorical, meaning all of those things. But I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what I did. And so as I expanded, I became more aware of my self-talk, my ego, and you know what? My ego, I love her very much. She decided to take a back seat to my mystical consciousness after she realized that, you know what, she knows what she's talking about. She's making all these affirmations. You get in my head, right? Affirmations, my spiritual practices, and all of these things. But the ego was hearing that. The one that was going, why? I don't want to do this, and I don't feel like getting up. That one, it had to go through the mystical consciousness, and she was really calling me to be here today. So you can call that very consciousness that you got calling you God, Spirit, and Source Energy, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it, angels' wings. But no matter what you say, there's always been universal laws for us to live by. And the universal laws are in the consciousness, okay? So we need to be more aware of all of our spiritual and universal laws, just like we are with man-made laws. See, physical laws, man-made, and you go to jail, right? If you don't do the right thing or, you violate those laws, right? But what happens when you violate spiritual laws? Well, pretty much what happens is when you violate spiritual laws, you create a self-made prison. And I thought about Groovy just now because she mentioned something like that in the consciousness meeting about the prison that we create for ourselves. But that's what happens when you violate those laws. You keep hearing what the laws are, but decide that, well, I'm not going to do that. But keep in mind though, as we're growing, and don't be upset about it and don't get too alarmed, but the ego may not say it in these words, but it's actually going to be whispering to you, why are we changing now? We was just fine with you laying up in the bed all day or with you not doing anything, but now we got to get up and get dressed. Listen, that's ego, right? And so that's survival mode. That's that mode that says, you know what, we're just going to do that. And it's saying everything was fine. Now she wants to get up and change. That's what I was going through. And so you're no different. You're going to go through that too when you really get very serious about this. But see, here's the thing. That was my survival mode that I was living in. But you know what? I learned, and this is the truth. We're not here just to survive. We are born to evolve. And here's the thing, possibilities, they really, really, really do open up when we stop living with the limitations. And what do I mean by that? Here's the thing. I don't like where I didn't like the way I was living back then and with whom I was living with back then. I knew I wanted away from that situation, and I kept going and going and going. Now, if I would have decided that it's easier to stay here, that's what I mean by stop living with limitations. So you gotta see, once you have a vision, possibilities is what they are. So when you say, wow, I can see me down in, I got this thing about Egypt. I can see me taking a trip to Egypt. And I literally see it, and I see those beautiful things. Well, those are possibilities. I got to work toward that though, don't I? So if I really want it, I'm not going to live with the limitation. I would never say it's because I don't have the money. I would say, all right, how will I make more money? You see, it's a difference because now I'm making myself curious. How would you get more money? Or how would you get the airline ticket? Or how would you do? So I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody I can't go. That's crazy. Or I'm not even going to tell me that. Right? But here's the thing. In order to manifest possibilities, we have to maintain this biggest vision that we've ever seen in our lives, in our past. Whatever. What you're used to seeing in the past, stop looking back there because you can't see anything. And why do you think the rear view mirror is shorter than the awesome, what is that front, the windshield? The windshield is huge. And you're looking back there. To manifest these possibilities, we have to maintain a bigger vision up here than back there. Using that vision is actually using spiritual science. And that's what it is. It's also spiritual practice. The vision, what it does is, this is the neural thing that I'm talking about. The vision tunes the mind to possibility frequency instead of problematic frequency. And Horace said something like that in his quote. So instead of looking for problems, you're looking at the possibilities. But if you're looking back there, you will see nothing but problems because there's no way you can deal with the past. You can't change it. You can't apologize to anybody in the past. You got to take care of you now. So some people get stuck in these kind of things, and especially they go into this task mode and they get overwhelmed by all the details of the past. But manifestation isn't born from facts that somebody says, well, I don't believe that. I'm looking at the facts, but let me tell you something. Manifestations is not born from facts. It's born from consciousness. That's it. There's no other way that you can manifest without that. Because if your mind is cluttered, if it's full of doubt, it's not the fertile soil you're going to need to put those seeds for your future. So don't plant those seeds if you're feeling doubtful and your mind is cluttered. Oh, no, overwhelmed. Don't do it. See, some people, they get all into this task mode, okay, so since I want to do all this, instead of doing spiritual practices, maybe they will sit down and do something logical. Now, that's not what's going to call for those manifestations. Logic is not going to help in that situation, but spiritual work will. So here's the thing. No matter what you do, the ego takes credit for all your outcomes. If it can't take credit for your success, it'll take credit for your struggles. And if it takes credit for your struggles, what it's trying to tell you is this. That's why you can't do it, because you failed at that. That's where victimhood sets in. But when we affirm that, our spiritual language is going to take the lead, not this here, not this ego. Now we don't want the ego that's in the fear. We want the ego to come out of it. So we got to sit here and feed it. So what we got to do, from the mystical consciousness, we have to begin thinking, oh, you know what? I think it's time for me to make a shift. Right? That's one. Then, I'm guided by divine intelligence. Well, maybe I'm expanding in a mystical consciousness. All of these fabulous things happen. They aren't just affirmations. They are telling the ego that the mystical consciousness is taking the wheel. Sit back. We got this, right? That calms the ego on the fear side. And then she listens. So I'm talking about my ego, because she listens. We don't destroy our ego. We train it, right? We uplift it. We uplift spirit with it. But here's the thing. We transform it, though, with our energy of the affirmations. And what it does is it transforms from the fear into confidence. It transforms into self-worth. It transfers into courage. It even transfers into some more creativity that you can have. All of this is very, very important. See, this is the thing I see that happened for me. I taught my ego, my real spiritual heritage. That was one of the problems that I think I was having, because they always said blacks were inferior, right? That's the word, back in the day. But that's what I was almost about to believe, but I decided that I'm not going to believe that. So what I did was I taught my ego some stories about these magnificent individuals who came from really humble beginnings, who had extraordinary lives. And then I reminded my spirit, I reminded it that spirit does not create inferiority. It only creates possibilities and potential. You have to know that possibilities are important. And you got to really trust the fact that we are human beings, we are spiritual beings having human experiences. We got to know that. You see, we are equipped already with everything we need. See, I trained the ego to celebrate excellence. Oh yeah, in Black history and all the other cultures that other human beings did, that I said, now that was a good thing. If it's done, it's done. It's like that 42-mile run really many years ago, when that person did 42nd mile, when that person did it, all the other humans saw they could do it. Well, that's what I learned that I had done to my ego, even though I didn't do it intentionally, but I did it because I got this call from this woman today, me, back to her, to bring her here. See, I don't forget my ancestors, and I don't forget those teachers who uplift humanity either. But there's a lot of teachers out here, and there's a lot of them that I love listening to. See, I know that when I celebrate greatness, I activate greatness in me. I literally activate it in me. I saw the word create from Melissa and almost said that. Okay, that's a good thing. But when I speak the truth, my ego, she calms down. When I tell her, listen, this is how we're going to do this, because I know that all is well with me and I am that I am. Stuff like that I have to tell her. And she listens. And then she supports my mystical consciousness instead of trying to keep telling me, no, that's not going to work. And she doesn't do it as much as she used to. You know, that's what I call spiritual evolution. When we rise, we don't rise alone. We rise as part of a mystical consciousness rising. So now that you, me, and spirit are together, me and ego and spirit are all together, we're doing the mind, body, spirit thing. We got us all in this together, and we're supporting that one thing, my mystical consciousness. See, we're here to learn, to teach, to heal, and to expand or grow, right? All of that. But as we do all of that, we help ourselves and we help others live in pursuit of possibilities. See, once we all get in pursuit of possibilities, we realize, hey, I'm not really chasing possibilities. I'm remembering them, because that vision piece that we do, our possibilities already exist in our oneness with spirit. We simply align it with our ego, and the ego no longer becomes our enemy and no longer makes us victim. The ego becomes our student. Makes sense? Train it, elevate it, teach it how to bow to the mystical consciousness side of you. Then start living in pursuit of possibilities. Oh, how can I make this happen? Because when you ask a question like that, you're in pursuit. When you ask yourself, well, how can I change the situation because I need to have so and so dollars by next week? Get in pursuit of possibilities. You see, quantum physics always reveals that attention, I always talk about intention, but attention shapes reality. So when you hold a vision, you place attention on possibilities. That's what a vision does. It holds your attention. So possibilities begin to crystallize. You become the architect, not by chance. This thing is a chosen reality by you. So pay attention to the things you believe are possible. Your declaration begins to send a signal to your ego. It reshapes your possibilities into probabilities. And so when you speak, whatever language you speak to you begins to take form. Now, if you're doing declarations from an affirmative place, that's your affirmative prayer. And when you declare something bigger than your own possible lifestyle that you have right now, your present paradigm shifts to a new paradigm. And you're not just defying gravity. What you're doing is you're declaring a kind of belief that doesn't ask permission from logic. I'm not going to sit here and do this thing linear through logic. No. I'm going to do it through mystical. I'm going to do it through spirituality. I'm not going to do it by the physical world, the way they look at this. It rises from the depth of your consciousness. So metaphorically, whatever you believe you can do and you trust, your vision is in it. Because if you're looking at saying, I'm always looking at houses in my mind, and I'm also going out looking at them because it's a beautiful thing to do. And I look at what stays in my mind. So who knows? Maybe I'm looking at the house that I'm going to build. In the meantime, me and my ego is going to sit down while me and my oneness with spirit is going to continue seeing, how is that possible? Metaphorically, to believe that you can even fly is to trust that your vision is more real than your limitations. That's the whole thing. It means to meditate on the truth so boldly that you are so sacred, and even your ego goes, what you say? Your ego steps back in awe at all the stuff you're looking at in your vision. Now, hey, now you got it going on. You and your ego are working it. So let your possibilities be big, huge, out of sight. Let them be so faith fueled that the only thing you could do is say yes to that opportunity, that possibility. Let it do that. Because when you believe you can fly, you know what you're doing. You're not chasing possibilities. You're becoming every one of those possibilities. So, with that all being said, let's listen to the song I Believe I Can Fly by Yolanda Adams. Goodness gracious. When Yolanda sings, I Believe I Can Fly, she's not chasing the sky. She's claiming her spiritual altitude. She knows she's up in the highs. Oh my goodness. That's what happens when your belief in yourself lifts your life. You know what I mean? It's really possible. All these possibles, let these possibilities be so outrageous, guys, before I go, that they go beyond your logic. They go past your limitations. So, with that being said, of course, I just want to speak a little bit about our giving and sharing. And if you know that you're here, you know you're being fed, and you know you're being fed very well. So maybe you even heard something, maybe a word, a breath you felt, maybe a prayer, and it landed just right into your spirit. Maybe you feel this calm every single time you hear something, or you hear the talk, or the message, or the song. But these calms that you feel, you can never explain it on your own. So, with that being said, just know that we are a sanctuary without walls, and we are held together by our oneness with Spirit and our presence with each other. So, just like any other sacred space on the planet, it doesn't ask for perfection, it only asks for participation everywhere we go. So this is not something that we're wasting. It's actually spiritual integrity, it's reciprocity, and we're actually activating our trust in spiritual law. So just remember, giving is not a demand. It is definitely what we call an opportunity for your possibilities. So, with that being said, just remember all you need to do is say yes. Now, the thing is, are you ready to say yes? And now we're going to go moving on here. Now that we know you know what you are, remember that possibilities aren't distant, right? They're calling, they're rising, they're always in us all the time. They're ready. And when we listen with our spirit, with our oneness with spirit, we don't chase the future. We become its invitation. So this next song is a call from your oneness with spirit. Let it remind you that possibilities don't knock, they sing. And you hear words because of lyrics in the songs. Let them stir the oneness with spirit and the truth within you, and let them rise within you. So as you listen to that, listen to spirits rising up. So listen to the song Spirit Rise by Beyoncé. It's open. Can't you feel it calling? Feel it. It's a call to you to awaken to your possibilities. Whoa, man. So, anyway, with that being said, let's make sure that we get prayed out on time here. And we got our awesome and incredible spiritual practitioner, Mo. Mo, are you ready to pray us out?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So as we take a moment to feel the gratitude for this amazing service that we have witnessed here today, I know that each and every one of us go into our day and into our week with a lightness within our step for these amazing words that will continue to feed us throughout this week. I know that we are blessed beyond any type of measure, that we are all in that divine presence at every moment in time. So as I release and I let go, I let God, knowing that it is done with ease and with grace and with simplicity and with a warmness in each and every one of our hearts. And I would like and invite you to lock this in with me by simply stating, and so it is.
Mm. And so it is. Thank you, Mo. So, guys, that's that. Let's wrap it up. This is a beautiful service again, once again. And we're remembering this week to stay in pursuit of possibilities. Not wishful thinking, but spiritual knowing. And in spiritual psychology, the ego isn't the enemy. Make sure you know that. The ego is an energy that speaks from love and fear, but you get to nurse it up to find out what side you're going to allow spirit ego to speak to you on. It's your choice to allow the fear side or the love side in your ego's voice. So with that being said, know that the universe is always the one power, and it's not testing you, it is supporting you. So until we meet again, stay in pursuit of possibilities. And so it is.